So let us begin the case discussion. Hello, myself Dr. Sandeep Sharma, and I will be examining your kid, and I will need to take history. I hope it is absolutely fine with you. Okay?
So when I took history from the father, the following findings were seen. The child was 5-year-old boy resident of Vishakhapatnam. The informant was father. He was employed in a private job and was literate till 10th class. The chief complaints were basically two, according to the father. There was poor gain of height and weight since 2 years, and there was progressive abdominal distension noticed since last 6 to 8 months. On further inquiry, on taking history of present illness, it was found that the child had poor gain of height and weight associated with a normal appetite. And there were no GI or cardiovascular features or respiratory features. There was no vomiting, no fatty stool, no cyanosis, no pain abdomen, and no features of any dyspnea in the child. The abdominal distension was non-tender and not associated with any specific complaints. On taking past and treatment history, we found that the child had 4 episodes of UTI so far. 2 episodes had occurred in the first 2 years of life, and another 2 episodes had occurred in last 1 year. All of them had been treated with antibiotics, but no records were brought by the parents. Outside imaging, they said an ultrasound had been done around 6 months back, where the child was told to have some kidney problem, but again the records were not available. Other than this, the positive family history was absent. The child was immunized for age, and the child was also developmentally normal. So possibly the diagnosis based upon history included possible undernutrition with failure to thrive, progressive abdominal distension, the reason for which needed to be evaluated, and there was recurrent UTI in the child. The likely etiology for all these complaints was probably a renal cause. Why renal cause? Because of only positive renal findings along with features of malnutrition being there. And there was abdominal distension as well. So were we looking at congenital malformation? Were we looking at a malignancy? This needed to be ruled out on examination. So let us move towards the examination.
Before examining any child, as a good practice, always wash your hands, which I've already done, and take some hand sanitizer, sanitize your hands properly, and then you touch the kid. I'm going to check your child, okay? We have already done the anthropometric examination. The weight for age in this child was 67% of expected, height for age was 72% of expected, and mid upper arm circumference was only 10.8 centimeter. So this child is fitting into the typical features of failure to thrive. There is acute as well as chronic malnutrition in this baby. As you can see, the child is conscious, alert, active, and for general physical examination, we need to check for the vitals. The vitals have already been done. The child does not have any tachycardia or any tachypnea. Both the heart rate and respiratory rate are within normal limits. The BP of the child was done separately using pediatric digital monitor, and the blood pressure was on 90th centile. So it is on the higher side, but still not sufficient enough to call it as hypertension in this child. And coming to general physical examination, now we ideally need to evaluate for pallor in this child. But pallor cannot be commented in this specific case because this child presented in emergency with hemoglobin of less than 8, and he was already transfused before the child was examined. So in a transfused child, you don't comment upon pallor. There was anemia in this child. There is no icterus in this child. There is no cyanosis. There is no clubbing of the digits. There is no lymphadenopathy when it was examined. We are checking for lymphadenopathy. There are some lymph nodes which are palpable, but they are all non-specific. There is no pedal edema in this child as well. So there is no positive finding other than anemia, which the child has already received a transfusion for. But the peculiar thing to note in this child, before we move to systemic examination, first of all, look at the bossing of the skull. Can you appreciate bossing of the skull in this child? So there is frontoparietal bossing in this child, first thing. Second thing, look at the hands. As you can see, there is widening of the wrist. Just examine this. There is widening of the wrist bilaterally. So the child has features of ricket. Thirdly, look at the limbs. You will find that there are bony abnormalities as well. Plus there is flaring occurring at the level of malleoli. So medial malleoli is showing splitting here. So double malleolus is also present. So this child is having full-blown features of rickets. So along with the features of failure to thrive and anemia, this child is also having manifestations of rickets. Then let us do the systemic examination in this baby. On systemic examination, first of all, we'll do the per abdomen examination. On per abdomen examination, you can see general fullness of the abdomen. There is slight upturning of the umbilical area as well. There are no dilated veins, no visible peristalsis, although not a part of the abdomen examination, but you can see some beading also being present. After this inspection part, inspection only, positive finding is general fullness. Then we do the palpation. On palpation, we first look for any hepatomegaly. This is where the liver's border is being felt through. We look for any splenomegaly. So no spleen can be found. There is no tenderness overall. There is gaseous kind of distension which is present in this child. Now, let us try to palpate, because there were features of renal disease in the history. Let us try to see if there is any ballotable mass being present. So there is no ballotable mass. There is no features of any ascites or any fluid thrill being present. So this looks more like a gaseous distension. On percussion, we can look for any fluid being present. So resonant note all through. Resonant note saying that this child is not having any fluid. So there is no ascites. See, abdominal distension in such a child who's having full-blown features of failure to thrive and rickets can be due to multiple reasons. It can be gaseous distension. There can be intra-abdominal pathology which we are yet to evaluate. It can be ascites of which no evidence is there. And fourthly, it can also be a part of the rickets itself. Generalized low tone of the abdomen along with viscerotosis can sometimes produce a fullness of the abdomen. Although there is no liver and spleen, they have not moved much downwards, but overall this kind of pot belly appearance can be seen in rickets also. And on auscultation, the bowel sounds were normally present. The rest of the examination this child was also performed. The cardiovascular system was within normal limits. The respiratory system again did not show any abnormality, and even the genitourinary system and CNS examination was within normal limits.
So after examination, if we have to make a summary of positive findings, there was acute on chronic malnutrition, there was anemia in the child because pallor was present at admission, but the child had been transfused before I examined the baby. There was frontoparietal bossing of the skull. There were features suggestive of rickets. There was no hepatosplenomegaly, no ballotable abdominal mass of any kind in the child. So the clinical suspicion was likely renal etiology in the patient. What were the reasons for thinking as a renal system involvement in the child? Firstly, there was recurrent UTI in the child, right? Secondly, there was undernutrition present. Undernutrition can be explained by chronic renal disease. Rickets can be nutritional, can be related to chronic kidney disease also. Fourthly, there was anemia. Again, anemia can be nutritional or kidney related, and outside imaging had shown some suspicion of renal disease in the patient, although on examination we could not find any ballotable or renal derived mass.